Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, here's a thought for you. What if buying carbon credits to offset pollution is kind of like the medieval church selling forgiveness for sins? Sounds wild, right? Well, today we're diving deep into this provocative idea and asking whether these moral offsets are just a new name for a very, very old game. And it all kicks off with this quote. Just let it sink in for a second. There was a moment in history when eternity came with a price tag. Wow. That one sentence, it's really the key to unlocking this whole thing. It sets up a system that, maybe isn't quite as historical as we think. So that quote throws us right back in time, smack into the medieval world. And you have to understand, this was a time when salvation, well, it wasn't just about faith anymore. For a lot of people, it became a straight-up transaction. We are talking about literally putting a price tag on your soul's future. So you've got to ask, how on earth did this even happen? Well, think about it. The medieval church was this massive, massive institution, and it needed a ton of cash to operate. So what did it do? It found an incredibly effective fundraising tool by tapping into the one thing pretty much everyone shared, this deep, all-consuming fear of what happens after you die. They took a spiritual idea, forgiveness, and poof, turned it into a financial product. And this whole system got a name, the Indulgence Economy. So let's break it down. How did it actually work? How do you take something as abstract as guilt and turn it into a physical product that people would actually line up and pay for? Well, the product they came up with was incredibly specific. An indulgence. This wasn't just some vague blessing or a prayer. No, it was a certificate. A literal piece of paper you could hold in your hand. And it promised to reduce the amount of time your soul would have to spend in purgatory, paying for your sins. It was like a coupon for less time in the afterlife, a measurable, quantifiable reduction of your spiritual sentence. And let me tell you, this was not some small-time church fundraiser. We're talking about astronomical amounts of money. The revenue from this was so massive, it funded these enormous, legacy-defining projects. The most famous one, of course, being the incredible St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. This was a full-blown economic engine, and its fuel was a powerful mix of faith and fear. And what's fascinating is that this economic engine created something that looks, a lot like modern marketing. Think market segmentation. It wasn't a one-price-fits-all deal. Oh no. The more cash you had, the more forgiveness you could buy. Different sins could even have different price tags. It created this tiered system where essentially your path to salvation depended on the size of your bank account. And this right here shows that tiered system perfectly. If you were wealthy, you could buy what was called a plenary indulgence, basically the premium package. It wiped your spiritual slate totally clean for a hefty price. But if you were a regular person, a commoner, you could only afford these smaller, partial indulgences. You were just chipping away at your sentence in purgatory, little by little. Your road to heaven was literally paved with gold, or not, depending on what you could afford. Okay, so all of this sounds like something straight out of a history book, right? Ancient stuff, long gone. But here's the question that brings it all right into the here and now. Has this whole market for morality actually gone away? Or has it just, changed its name? All right, let's make that pivot. Let's jump to today and look at what our source material calls the new moral market. And as we'll see, the sins might be different, but the way it all works, it might feel oddly familiar. So what's the modern day version of a sin? Well, the focus isn't so much on individual, personal failings anymore. It's shifted to huge, large-scale corporate actions. Things like industrial pollution, massive carbon emissions. These now carry a serious social and ethical weight. You could say they're the big transgressions of our time. And just like in the past, in response to this new kind of sin, a very similar solution has popped up: the modern moral offset. A whole new market has been created around things you've probably heard of, like carbon credits, where you fund green projects, or getting high ESG scores, that's environmental, social, and governance, which basically acts as a signal that a company is being virtuous. And you can look at this whole system as a type of guilt-based consumption. It's this idea that you can buy something not for the thing itself, but to make yourself feel better about something bad you're doing somewhere else. You're trying to erase some guilt. In a nutshell, what you're really purchasing is peace of mind. And the process itself is often a really simple two-step deal. Step one, a company keeps doing something that's profitable, but it's also polluting or damaging the environment. Step two, That same company then buys a moral offset, like, say, paying to plant a bunch of trees somewhere else. And just like that, they try to balance the ethical books. Okay, so now let's pull it all together. Let's look at the direct and, yeah, pretty provocative comparison that's being made here. Is what we're seeing today just history repeating itself, a clear echo from the past? This chart really lays out the whole argument side by side. It's crystal clear. On one side, you have the sin as an act against God's law. On the other, it's an act of environmental pollution. The payment goes from buying an indulgence to buying a carbon credit. The justification, the good that's being done, goes from funding church projects to funding green projects. But, and this is the kicker, the central criticism is exactly the same. The old system was criticized because it let sinners just keep on sinning. And the new one? It's criticized for letting polluters just keep on polluting. And that right there, that gets to the absolute heart of the parallel. Both of these systems, separated by centuries, basically offer a way to pay for forgiveness, while the bad thing, the core transgression, is allowed to continue. So the argument here isn't really about religion versus the environment. It's about this stunningly similar function, using a financial transaction to try and cancel out a moral problem. So, all of this leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. When morality becomes a product, something you can literally add to a shopping cart, what are we actually buying? It doesn't matter if it's a 16th century indulgence or a 21st century carbon credit. Are we buying real, meaningful change? Or are we just buying ourselves some peace of mind?